Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made us us and made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alex.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John. Welcome to Dragon Ball Z Dead Zone. Alex, why did you pick this?
Oh my God, there's so many reasons. So Toonami used to do this thing when new Dragon Ball movies came out, where it was a big event and it was like going to a boxing match, and they would be setting up all the hype. And I also just really like this movie because it's so different from a lot of the other Dragon Ball Z movies. It's a bridge kind of between Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And we also get evil Piccolo still. And I really like evil Piccolo. He's so over the top and weird and just very goofy kind of villain. And I really love that, especially when he becomes serious Grandpa Piccolo later down the line. So it's a fun one, and it's so weird. It's a weird movie.
Yeah, there's a sequence where Gohan's tripping on psychedelic fruit, which culminates in him pissing on Krellin's head. So we've
Yep.
got that. It's also like for our purposes, it's also one of a handful of Dragon Ball Z movies that were voiced by the original English voice cast as opposed to the Funimation cast. Um, so it's like Peter Kalamus's Goku and stuff like that, and it's the promos still have that voice cast. The promos are also still narrated by Peter Cullen and Moltar, and yeah, it's an interesting it's got an interesting place in the franchise's history in the United States.
And as Sammy pointed out in the promos, they don't know how to say Goku.
They do not know how to say Goku.
They've
His
not
name
quite
is
got it.
Goku.
Yeah, to sort of build on that. So this came out in Japan in 1989. It wouldn't be on Toonami until 1999. So a good gap. But there are three English dubs, one by Ocean in 97, then AB Group did one for Europe in 2003, and Funimation did 2005. Me and Alex, we both watched the Pioneer dub, which is I'd forgotten how different the voices were because Master Roshi's really high and Krillin's surprisingly low for a man in his 20s. Like Krillin's been smoking four a day kind of thing.
He's taken that he learned how to fly in the last tournament in the original Dragon Ball, and in the 4 to 5 years since he's taken up a new hobby, and it's Marlboro.
Smoking.
I was just about to say like learning channel key triggers puberty a second time. It's like
I, it's weird to say, but a lot of Dragon Ball characters ending up sounding like they smoked 4 packs a day. Like Dende now sound like Justin Cook's Dende now that sounds like he's been smoking since he landed on the planet. So like I can't be too mad. It's a tradition.
to be fair, I quite like the idea now of just like just Dende just getting bored of taking up smoking. It's like, what do humans do with their time? Take them
Yeah,
to the demon realm.
yeah. He saw like watched the Lord of the Rings movie, and it's like, oh, pipe weed. I will smoke pipe weed here on the lookout with Mr. Popo for my existence. That's what I'll do as the
Token
guardian.
up,
I've got nothing else to
token up
do.
with Mr. Poe.
The
But
thing to,
speaking of token up,
Oh yeah.
Gohan.
oh, Gohan and getting drunk off fruit. This whole sequence was so obviously the Pioneer dub does actually censor it. They change it, but the censoring is slightly worse because they say, don't eat that fruit. It makes children see things, which is A, overly sinister, and B, how many kids of Garlic Jr. have been people bringing back to this cast to eat the fruit on the tree?
We don't ask those questions. Those are
We don't
uncomfortable
ask
questions.
we don't ask how many children have been kidnapped for Garlic Jr. I'm assuming Garlic Jr. just needs a new wardrobe and he doesn't know how else to get it, so they're just kidnapping kids and taking their clothes.
To be fair, I love Garlic Jr. when he gets Gohan and he's like, this kid is just throwing a I love that Gohan throws a tantrum here. It's a rare moment where I think we see Gohan as a child being a child. Uh,
Well, yeah.
yeah,
This is the
it's cool.
last
It's
chance he
cool.
gets.
And he's just like, but I love the Garlic Jr.'s response is, this boy will be my disciple. Like, that's not clearly this plan is going to go horribly wrong. But
Oh, yeah, twice. It goes yeah. Every time Garlic
No.
Jr. shows up, it's Gohan that gets the finishing move, right? This
Oh
movie,
yeah.
yeah, that's
DBZ,
right.
like this is, this is kind of the like Alex was alluding to, the bridge between the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. It ostensibly takes place a year to several months before the series starts. It's the only movie that's directly referenced within DBZ, albeit in filler episodes to
Which
give.
means Gohan is 2 here.
I think he's like 4 or 5 because he's like
I thought he was
five. He's five
he's
in the start of
3.
Z, right?
No, he's 3.
isn't that a 5 year jump
No,
between Dragon
it's
Ball and
because
Z?
Goku's 18, but he doesn't have he and Chi-Chi don't have Gohan until they're 20. Goku's 23 at the beginning of Z.
Yeah, but isn't there a like the Dragon Ball tradition is time skips never make any sense and we keep changing the
It never
numbers.
makes sense,
When
but
does the
they
future
do
Trunks
say
arc
it.
happen? Who knows? Maybe
All
in
I
10
know
years,
is that
maybe next
Gohan is
week.
explicitly all I know is Gohan's explicitly 4 at the start of Namek.
In the manga, it's weird because like Toriyama leaves notes like he's like, oh, this is what Gohan looks when he's training for the Saiyans. I think he says he's like 4 at that stage. Like I think this,
Yeah.
but it's like the Funimation dub or the Ocean dub's like he's 5, and then it's a year, so he's 6 when the Saiyans show up, which always made more sense to me.
I
So
mean, because he's a toddler.
right, yeah. So he's like 9 when the androids show up, and he's like, or no, he's 10 because it's like Namek and Goku coming back takes like a full year. So I had just
He,
assumed he's like 4, like here.
he's 11 when he's teen Gohan. I know that from the
When he
action figures.
emerges from the hyperbolic time chamber, he's 11. So yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
whole thing.
Which
But
presumes
Dragon
the
Ball math.
age in the hyperbolic time chamber, which is a
yeah,
whole can of worms we're not getting
Oh,
into.
we can't talk about that. That's so
Uh,
much.
but we can talk
yeah.
about Gohan's charming little song he has while he's drunk, which has the funniest lyrics in the world. I quite like so. I feel good. I feel good. Somehow I feel really good. I feel good. I feel good. Somehow I feel really happy. And then a storm cloud looks like a great Shinto priest octopus. The
Yeah.
sun is surprised by it and cooks it up. And the floating takoyaki gets eaten by a dinosaur. I'm the world's happiest person. I'm the world's greatest person. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's apparently psychedelics is the thing that fills the void that we all have for Gohan.
That's what ayahuasca does to you when you're 4 years old, I
I
guess.
just desperately want to find the notes what they sent to the musicians for this. Like, so Gohan is drunk, just drunk. We've got the kid, we've got him drunk. We want him to talk about dinosaurs and octopuses. Can you write some lyrics?
Yes.
Sure.
Can we load you up on the stuff Ringo was on, and will that have a similar result?
There's it reminds me of one of my favorite lines from Chala Head Chala, the Japanese theme to Dragon Ball Z, where the original theme, where a volcano having just been, or the Earth just having been kicked in the face makes one of its volcanoes explode. Like it's that level of like you just kind of accept it. It doesn't really,
Oh,
you just
It
kind of go
snows
with
on Mount Fuji.
yeah. Like it's the same thing here. Having said that, for as ridiculous as that sequence is, and it's one of the most ridiculous sequence in any DBZ movie, though World's Strongest also has a song and dance sequence with Gohan. Um,
Yep.
the opening of this movie is really kind of like sinister and almost like it's the most cinematic sequence in the entire thing. Um,
oh yeah, we see Piccolo training and then getting jumped. I
well,
got
and like what
Yeah.
happens to Chi-Chi and Ox King
Oh
too.
yeah, I got jump
Level of
scared
like,
by the intro, by the way, because I had like the titles running. Like I put the volume a little bit. There's just Piccolo screaming. Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Scott McDaniel, if you're watching the original Ocean dub, I believe, but
Yeah.
who went on to voice at least one character in Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. But yeah, it's
well, he's very loud.
yeah.
It's very loud. It's very
Um,
loud.
and it's also like I think he's the one who really gives Piccolo the raspy voice that Sabat then puts his own spin on when Funimation starts producing their own dubs to it. But no, I mean, I'm talking about the sequence where Chi-Chi and Ox King get like bodied by Garlic Jr. and the not Spice Boys. The Spice Boys don't show up until Z, but his analog Spice Boys in
You
this
know, the
movie.
His
we
minion
call it the
team.
dorm room rack, where it's only just
Yeah.
a couple of spices that your mom put in there.
Yeah, which is to say mostly turmeric, but and cinnamon, but
I just love the
Maybe
fact
some pepper.
they all
yeah,
shout food names to transform, and one of them shouts pepperoni.
yes, yeah,
I do like the fight sequences a lot in this particular movie. The thing that I always really liked about Dragon Ball is the fight choreography, and I do feel like Z loses a lot of that, especially once you get past Namek. So seeing it here when Goku's fighting all 3 of those guys at the same time and like dodging swords and the way it moves, it looks really good. Like it's just some good fighting.
I am in love with the era of Dragon Ball, where kind of energy attacks exist, but they are still a special occasions thing. Even basic beams require a lot of effort. So most of the time you're going to be up close and personal punching things. And stuff like blocking and dodging means something. I love this how they use the environment so often. Like Goku gets bashed off a banister, thrown into a statue. Really just it feels more impactful. Even though it's not any more violent than what we would see in Z, it feels much more violent because it has that kind of grounding in reality.
Well, and it's more, yeah, like you guys are alluding to, it's technique based. Goku is still using the power pole. He's not, he's in the power pole sheath. He has to do a weird hand thing to charge up his Kamehameha wave. It's there's a lot of great fights in this. Kami fights. We never see
Yeah.
Kami. Last time we saw Kami fight, it was in the tournament, and he was mostly in that mustache man's like human, like possessing the mustache man. Like it's a rare thing to see Kami fight, and growing up, I always thought Garlic Jr. was just another Namek. I was just like, oh, it's clearly he's got the pointy ears and he's bald. He's just like a evil off-color Namekian.
Blue Namek.
Yeah.
He is Pilaf, just new color Pilaf.
Yeah,
You've,
like that
you've
was
held
always
B while selecting him.
that was always my thing. Like, are Pilaf and Garlic Jr. the same species? Like, because they do look similar.
I think what helps that association is that in the Funimation dub, Chuck Huber voices both.
That's true. That is true.
If I recall, the Daisenshu just says Pilaf's race is Pilaf's race. They just never tell. Like, yeah, he's Pilaf. He's just what he is.
Yeah.
Why does the Daisenshu like this? Why is it gotta like go? Why is it gotta gaslight me like this?
We're not going to tell you what Pilaf is, but we'll be happy to tell you that Tien is part of a warrior race you never see.
Yeah,
The la
that is true.
or do they touch on Chaozu being a Shang-Chi at all?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
mentioned in the Daisenshu. Like, here's a plot hole for you.
We're
Here's
not
this
going to talk about it
undead
ever
child.
again. Yeah, we're not going to talk about it in the actual show ever, but we're gonna but
Yeah.
that's what he is.
Chaozu very clearly inspired Giorno Giovanna because we never talk about the fact that Giorno's half vampire, but we all know it logically.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, also Krellin. Krellin gets like a heroic kind of moment before he's completely outclassed as usual. His
And then he
entrance,
gets peed on. And then he
and
gets peed
Jorah
on.
Done.
and then he gets peed on. But yeah, his entrance is like one of the more heroic moments he has in any of the movies before he consistently becomes comedic relief. They're like, oh, that's right, he's still one of the strongest humans on Earth, and I don't want to say held his own against Piccolo Jr., but did enough that he wasn't eliminated from the tournament immediately.
Did better than you
Yeah.
think.
Yeah,
I do want to point out that this is one of the few Dragon Ball Z movies where Piccolo has a reason to be there.
yeah.
In many of the Dragon Ball Z movies, Piccolo just kind of shows up out of nowhere for no reason. But this is one of the few that gives him a reason to actually be a part of the plot, other than the fact that we all love him, and I do love him. He is my favorite.
I love that in the early Z movies where they keep having to try and find ways of getting Vegeta and Piccolo into them to put them on the poster, despite the fact there would be no reason for them to be involved in this. So you just get like Vegeta's on a rock having a watch.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
Piccolo shows up on fake planet Vegeta out of nowhere.
He was on vacation.
It's explained he has a spaceship. He brings sensu beans. I just
Yeah, but
assume he's like, I can't be anywhere without Gohan. I need to be somewhere near Gohan. And then
that's my baby.
also he has a narrative reason in World's Strongest.
Yeah, he
But
gets kidnapped, but that's about it.
yeah. Uh yeah, I mean it's also it's such a odd kind of thing here where like him and Goku after they think they defeat Garlic Jr. just like cool, game on. And like go
Yeah.
right at it.
I love it. I rival era Piccolo is to like I have a lot of feelings about this, especially because of the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game. But like when Piccolo was Goku's rival, Piccolo is very clearly the center of Goku's world. And I do kind of love that about them. Like Piccolo lives in Goku's brain rent free in the way that Goku will live in Vegeta's brain rent free. And I kind of love that storyline to the point where Piccolo gets to be in the wedding photo and Chi-Chi doesn't in Dragon Ball Super Superhero. That still kills me. I'm still upset about it.
I always love the ending of this because they do the thing like Piccolo vanishes and appears on a rock, but when they pull out, he's like 2 feet taller. Like he's still clearly visible to Goku at the time. He's like, we will fight again. It's like he can still see you, and
Piccolo,
hear
like, I'm
you.
gonna
You're
steal
not
that
that
kid.
far away.
I'm
I
gonna
like
steal
to
that
imagine,
kid.
I like to imagine like Cammy's there with like Gohan, like just ignore him. He does this. Just let him get out of his system.
I, I will say to this movie's credit, and there's a lot of credit to be had. This is, I believe, directed by Daisuke Nishio, who had been directing episodes, like had been directing Dragon Ball since I want to say like Red Ribbon or Tien Shinhan or something like that, and directs Z, a lot of Z up and through the Cell games, and then leaves to do other things, which is part of the re I think part of the reason in terms of difference in quality and animation style going into Majin Buu. He does like the first three movies, and including this one, and it's so Daisuke Nishio, I think, is a big part of the Dragon Ball appeal when it comes to the anime. And like I gotta touch on that opening scene again when Garlic Jr. attacks Goku's home and like Garlic Jr. basically force pushes Chi-Chi point blank. Like it's like there's a lot of stuff we don't normally associate with Dragon Ball in terms of animation and presentation, and I think a lot of that comes from Nishio in this movie.
As a
Hmm.
side on that, I think it's also really nice to see Chi-Chi gets ready to throw down here. Itario Chi-Chi was trained by the Ox King, and Dragon Ball forgets that all the time. It's like Chi-Chi, she's not Goku or Vegeta, but against other humans, she would stand a decent chance against any of them, unless they're like Krillin level
I
foes.
think up until 18 shows up, she's one of the strongest women on Earth. I think that is part of like in the Daisenshu or something where
They
she
just
is strongest.
never do anything with it, which is a shame. Because like this is a really good thing. Like, Krillin's being kidnapped. Sorry, Krillin. Gohan's being kidnapped. Yeah, I'm going to try and kick whoever's doing it.
I mean,
Yeah, give him the kicks.
yeah, she's fresh off, she got through the qualifiers. She's, facing Goku in the finals in the actual tournament at the end of Dragon Ball. She's the one who kind of trains Goten and goads him to transform Super Saiyan for the first time. She is one of the best martial artists on Earth, one of the strongest, not just women, just one of the strongest humans, period. She's I like it when there's a moment where she thinks she's going to Namek. She's got like the big space gun and the spacesuit. She's a more than just being the nagging wife mother that I think a lot of fans kind of relegate her to. She's badass in her own way. And
That
this is
will.
the one movie where we really get to see that, albeit very briefly.
The
Yeah.
saddest thing I'd done was I was so hoping that they were going to bring Chi Chi along for Demon World just to have her as a
I
finally
mean,
let's get that Chi Chi get a fight in and get a win.
that's part of the fun of the early parts of the early part of Lord Slug is that Chi-Chi does get in on the fight and beats up a couple of the stormtroopers before she gets wrecked too. But like it's fun to see Chi-Chi do stuff other than yelling at Goku. Like there's a joy in that to see that Chi-Chi has more going on with her. And this is a good movie to get a lot of the Dragon Ball-y feeling back while still taking some of the seriousness that Z starts to bring to the table more.
These first three movies are among the best. Are they the biggest and most bombastic? No, but there's a quality. Like I rank these not just as good Z movies, but just good anime movies.
Yeah.
Um, after Daisuke Nishio leaves, there's still good Z movies. I would say Super Android 13, Fusion Reborn is one of my favorites. Even Wrath of the Dragon, even though it's like the Z fighters against a kaiju
But that's
skull.
so cool, though. Like, there's something very cool about fighting a kaiju like the Z fighters fighting a kaiju monster. I think that that's really damn cool. You're never going to convince me that that's not cool.
Th- th- This is also like the last gasp of like mythical fantasy. Dragon Ball for a while because after this, starting with movie two and with the Saiyans and everything, it's like science fiction all the time. Like, yeah, there's some of that like old fantasy charm that's still, especially, you get the flashback to like Goku's or Garlic Jr.'s origins where he's got like the weird demon army and stuff. Yeah, it's just you don't really get that flavor a lot
Oh,
in
and
Dragon.
even the kind of inherent gag of the final fight of are you immortal or invincible is such a fantasy movie sort of trope of like, you wished for immortality. That just means you can't die from old age. You're not invincible. I guess they'll cut you to ribbons.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna hurt
Um,
you. Yeah.
so
We're gonna
we should
hurt
probably
you.
point out one of the sort of interesting things of the film is only 40 minutes. Uh,
Yeah.
because this is a manga Matsuri release. So every year, Toei would do this festival where they put on 3 short films based on their popular franchises. So this year it would be this with Eiko-chan's Secret, the Seal, the Monster, and one of my favorite weird tokusatsu movies, Mobile Cop Jiban, Great Explosion at the Monster Factory of Fear, which is the best title for anything.
I
But
love that.
the biggest criticism you can have of this movie is that it's not really a movie. It is an extended fight scene in a sort of a standard Dragon Ball filler episode.
Just
But at the
gorgeously rendered. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I would rather have that for 40 minutes than what some of the other films try to do, which is try and put in a full plot. Curse of the Blood
Oh,
Rubies is always the one that comes to me, which tries to fit so much into 40 minutes that nothing has weight, and you're bouncing between scenes with no logic or rhyme or reason. This new, like, used, got as much as it could out of that 40 minutes. So, yet, sure, the plot's quite thin, there's not that many characters, but everyone gets something to do. Every scene pushes the narrative forward, and we get a nice, neat ending.
And it also opens up a ton of plot holes for Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, yeah.
oh, sure.
Krillin forgot everything.
Krillin forgot
I
everything.
forgot everything.
Goku and Piccolo apparently forgot that Gohan's like stronger than either of them. When Raditz shows up, again, it's the movie that one of the movies anyway that slots the neatest into the Z continuity, but still not really. I mean, the only other one I mean, Wrath of the Dragon, you could theoretically put in the time jump, and you could do it with BoJack Unbound in the right after the Cell games. Bulma's even like, "Oh, Future Trunks is back for just for this tournament." It's like, how did he know? Like,
He just got lucky.
Yeah,
He's got the
yes.
tournament radar.
yeah. Um,
Should note this actually is one of the only films that appears in a lot of the Daijinshi timelines. It gets mentioned continually. Like 3 to 7 has it in the timeline, which is very rare. I think there's only 2 or 3 films ever appear. Well, pre Battle of Gods where we throw that out, but a lot of the Z films aren't counted. But this was for some reason.
yeah. Got to justify its inclusion. They knew that it would be in the series at a certain point. It's like, oh, that's right. Toriyama Sensei is taking a long time after finishing Frieza. We need to come up with something. Garlic Jr. and Driver's Ed? Yes. Let's
I
do
mean, I mean, some of the best content in Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, especially for your Toonami kid, because they made a big deal out of Garlic Jr. They
Oh,
They
yeah.
made
did.
when we get to that, well, we got months of promos building up to it that I would argue the promos are probably slightly better than the arc for how they
The
make it into the biggest thing ever to happen ever.
the promo, I remember those promos too, and I remember them even like referring back to the movie a little bit
Yeah.
for the promos. Like I do remember that, and I didn't find out that that wasn't canon until I was in my like early 20s. I was so convinced this was part of the story.
That's not rare. I know quite a few people where I've had this conversation. It's come up in conversation, as Dragon Ball canon does.
As it
And
does.
to usually like, oh yeah, God, no, he was just a random addition because they ran out of manga. It's like, oh, it feels canon. It's like, yeah, it's one of the better attempts at slotting it in.
It's canon to me.
Canon in my heart.
Garlic Jr., my little son.
Yeah, look, I mean, I love Kai as much as the next guy. It's still canon to me.
Oh.
Sometimes you don't need to cut the filler. Sometimes it's the filler that we've experienced was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Talking of sort of noting of like opinions of this film, What caught me off guard, we talked about Dragon Ball a lot, and I've had a habit of always watching the worst possible dub of everything, probably because I hate myself. So I'm so used to the really censored dubs of early Z that Piccolo turning up and going, "You're going to wish you were dead," threw me for a loop. I was like, "Plummet, plummet hell!" Like it's accurate to what he says in Japan. I'm just so unused to the American dubs of this era being so on the nose. It's like, wow, that's
It's actually interesting because I watched the oh my God, the I have the
Japanese.
DVD still. Yeah. I watched the Japanese version and I watched the American dub, and I realized that there weren't a lot of changes made in between the two versions I was watching, which was kind of a shocker because of how much stuff got changed during that time
I
period.
think the biggest one is just they changed the wording of the fruit. They just don't, because Japan is more of it being it's magical fruit that gets you drunk.
Yeah. I have the Funimation version of I have Funimation version of all the movies and the TV specials and all that. The ones they did anyway. It's pretty faithful at that point. It's like John was saying, it was like 2005. They've already like started to do like DBZ Uncut, which is the redubs of the first, several dozen episodes. If anything, it's almost like it's the bridge between Z and Kai, because Kai they go more faithful with it as well. Yeah, no, the movie dub is pretty faithful there. Um, it is always wild going back to listening to the ocean stuff though. It is
Yeah.
always kind of like, oh, that's right, there was this era, and these were the voices of these characters. Like
It,
somehow Piccolo's voice is raspier than it is in the Funimation dub. Okay, all right,
it
cool.
just feels wrong. Like, here's the thing. No offense to the voice actor, they do a good job, but it's like my brain is so used to these voices. It feels like there's something that just doesn't mesh. Like we've been having when we're doing Sailor Moon, just like hearing the different names. I'm so used to these Japanese names now. It just like there's this like shock in my brain that that's not right.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like, I was saying a couple weeks ago or whatever, like it's the same reason why I'll always refer to, Sailor Moon's name as Usagi. And yeah, they try to like anglicize everything, but it's like, oh, she's just Usagi. She's, she'll always be Usagi to me, just like, but but it's more of a kind of a fun curio thing to go back to the ocean stuff. But yeah, for me, Sean Schemmel is the American voice of Goku. Chris Sabat is the American voice of Piccolo, and Sonny Strait is the American voice of Krellin. It's just so to hear these new voices, it's like, oh, that's right, huh?
So
There was there was a before time.
The before
if
time.
you are a nerd who does want to listen to early Dragon Ball dubbing, this would be a good film to do it with because here the dubbing's good. It's totally acceptable. It has the ocean thing of the voices being a little more exaggerated, but it's not to the point of annoyance. This works. This works really nicely.
I think too, like something about the ocean dub guys, there's there's more of a sense of melodrama in how they voice the characters, and I think in this particular context, it works really well because it's a movie and we're getting a little melodramatic. And I will admit, I like this for eviler Piccolo, just like how Brian Drummond with eviler Vegeta has that distinct like I'll send you to the next dimension sort of like bombast to him. I like that. I You guys know me well enough now to know that I like some campy villains. So like this it works for me.
Yeah, and if you don't know that about her, I mean, check out all the stuff we've been doing with Sailor Moon lately.
Yeah, which is
Check out my reanimator poster behind me.
Yeah.
yeah. No, this is just a fun. I would say this is just a fun movie. It's an enjoyable experience. Probably one of the, it's like one of those easy ones to get into. So
Mhm.
as I said, it's the problem is it's not that well developed. Just a quick question before we end. What do you prefer name wise? Do you prefer the Dead Zone name or the Japanese of Return My Gohan? Because
You
I
know,
really like the Return My
Return My
Gohan.
Gohan.
Because I remember when I was younger, I saw what must have been a bootleg DVD. I didn't know at the time, but didn't have exclamation marks. I had a comma after return, which made it sound like Chi Chi was treating him like a Pokemon. Return my Gohan.
It's always interesting. It follows the naming conventions of the Japanese dub of the episodes, where everything is like two sentences. Um, it's not my favorite. I mean, I prefer Dead Zone, um, just because it's to the point. I do think Super Android, calling a movie Super Android 13 with exclamation points is a little too on the nose for Funimation, which they did. Um, I think look at the Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan Japanese title. That's one of my favorites. I won't share it here. Find it out on your own. Also, because I can't repeat the entire thing verbatim. But no, Dead Zone is my preferred title for this
I
one.
like Return My Gohan. It is very fun, but Dead Zone's my preferred title too because Dragon Ball Z. I feel like people sometimes forget the time period that Dragon Ball Z hit at because that late 90s, early 2000s, like hot topic, heavy metal, Linkin Park's getting big kind of energy. And Dead Zone really works for that time period. I was that kid in trip pants. My mom hated it. It's fine, but it was made for me. I remember when images from Dead Zone looked like they were album covers.
Yeah, these like
There's some gorgeous visuals in this movie. It's great. The
It looks like
weird
a
yeah.
it looks like in the Court of the Crimson King, you know?
yeah,
Like it's so cool.
just makes me laugh
When
because Dead Zone mate reminds me of, like old Doctor Who. I can tell he's like Colin Baker pointing to like some bad. We're in a dead zone, Nessa. We'll have to defeat the Spawnglix to escape.
yeah. It's in between Cybermen episodes you get Dead Zone. But the I do like it. You also get one of my favorite things in anime. You get the wipe when Goku annihilates two villains with one Kamehameha wave.
That is true. I like the wipe.
It's a very nice wipe as well.
Yeah.
Especially because you get the shot afterwards where he's like clenching his hand and loosens it in the gravel. Such a nice discretion. Again, it's that impact thing, I think. It's a
Yeah.
discretion shot, but you clearly get what they're implying. He is dead, dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are going down. Goku's just like, we're done here. You got my son, and you attacked my family. Ow.
Remember, this is still Dragon Ball Goku. This is Goku with a body count.
Yeah.
This is Goku is a little kill crazy still.
Movie Goku is a murder machine, and I love
Goku is a murder machine.
that.
uh, any final thoughts before we wrap up here?
I think Murder Machine best summarizes what my feelings are.
What about you, John? Final thoughts?
Yeah, just same thing. It's great to see Goku back. It's great to see Goku killing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do love
Yay!
Death!
Yay! Death! We do love to see Goku stepping out of his Batman self into his Wonder Woman self and just snapping necks. But
Yeah. Punisher
that
Goku,
does
bring it on.
oh no. Um okay. But that does mean we have pulled into our final destination. That's right. It's time to disembark off of Toonami Absolution. We want to thank you once again for talking with us about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Bang.
I feel good. I feel very, very good.